guys, how's it going? What's going on, man?
Welcome to Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas, man. Awesome, Texas, right? It's been a lot of fun. A couple of days down here. If you guys don't know, Matt and I, we decided to hit the road. Spent about 7.5 hours on Thursday to drive down to Austin, Texas for the CD Baby DIY music conference, DIY musicians conference, and I don't know about you, but man, my head is blown.
I'm just sitting here spinning around thinking about all the ideas I've heard and all the people I've talked to and the professionals that I've seen and the thing. It's just amazing, dude. I'm like, this is awesome.
It was really cool, and I'm glad we got a chance to do it. It's hot down here. I think the heat index was 115 yesterday.
Yeah, but we were inside. It didn't matter.
That's true. Yeah, it was kind of nice when I did go out last night and finally cooled down to 93, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so nice out." It's like, not for this guy. It was still toasty for me, but man. So, what are some of the cool things? I think we should just kind of go through some of the cool things we learned and just kind of let our fans out there realize what kind of great info we're going to be bringing to you guys in the near future.
Well, one thing that really struck me today, it's just fresh in my mind, still ringing loud, is like, okay, there's people, they stream what you've done, but they buy what you are.
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
And so it's like, the streaming thing, one seminar was kind of like, mobilizing the super fan or something like that. Right. And they said, don't worry about streaming. It's 0.006 of a cent.
Right.
It's just a ridiculously low numbers. And so those people are just listening, they're streaming it, and so those people maybe, aren't interested enough in what you're doing otherwise to do anything other than stream your music. That's fine. They're still liking your music, but if they really fall in love with you and your story, then they're going to support you.
Right.
And you don't need 200 million people around the world to do that. You just need a couple of thousand of them.
Sure.
And you just develop a relationship with the fan, the direct relationship. And I've been talking about this for a while. And it just, like, this weekend's really reinforced that whole idea. And it's just like, it's so good to hear this.
Yeah, you and I've had conversations on that too. Is email even effective anymore? Because to me, being in the tech business, email is kind of on its way out. But that is something that they kept saying. It's like, keep your data out of the hands of the service providers. You got to own your own data, own your own email list, and when you're talking with and you're going social, and it's kind of this broad announcement kind of thing that you're doing. But email is very personal, and to get that super fan, if they got on that email list, they want to feel personal. So you definitely got to kind of tailor your content towards them.
I mean, the reality is, dude, everybody's got their own personal band now. It doesn't matter what genre of music you've got. I mean, all these big, famous household names, that's cool, but everybody's got their own personal band. I mean, I have tons of bands that I follow that they're not famous, that damn sure should be. But they're just doing it just like you and I are, just hacking it out one day at a time, one slice at a time,
Exactly.
And it's just really cool to, like, be around people and an atmosphere that, like, they really get this. They really understand. You can be an indie musician. Now, being an indie musician in 2019 and beyond means that you're not just a musician, you're an entrepreneur.
A content provider, curator of just the cool people, It's just trying to get those super fans and trying to get you're building this community is really what you're doing. You're not just having a fan base; it's community, and you're as much part of that community as they are.
Right, exactly.
So that's really cool. But real quick plug: show off the Band Advice TV shirts.
Band Advice TV, check it out on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, we figure if we're going to be down here with, what would you think the attendance is? 4,000, 5,000 people maybe?
Yeah, I'd say there's at least a couple thousand.
Yeah,
people
easily. So it's like, might as well walk around with this rather large billboard with our URL on it. So
yeah, why not?
I've had some people show some interest.
You all need to check it out.
It's really cool.
Band Advice TV. We've got this podcast we've been working on this year, and partly what I wanted to do this year, just the way things all happened for me, I was like, I wanted to kind of focus more on the business part of it, because, like, seriously, without the business, it's just not going to allow me to create at the level and the rate I want to be able to create at. And so after all those years of playing and doing all this stuff at a breakneck pace, I just felt like, all right, this year I didn't have a choice. I mean, you know, I broke my hand back in October and all that, and I couldn't play until the first show was on television, you know, and and I was like, well, all right, this year I need to do this different. I need to catch up on some technology. We need to get this podcast going. We need to do different things. And it's just been like an awesome year so far.
And a lot of great ideas.
3/4 of the way through it.
Hey, but you know what? We did a lot more than a lot of people ever do. So,
dude, we've
been pretty consistent with the podcast. I mean, we had a month or two, but you know, life does get in the way. But we're still doing it. Still got content to put out there. I'm trying to slip in some of the little tips and tricks.
I love it. I love the one with the Android or the tin with the
the battery.
That was great.
I'm actually getting ready to do a second version of it that's actually going to have an LED to tell you when it's plugged in because I keep forgetting to unplug it.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh, the battery's dead.
It's kind of like the cigarette pack amplifier. Remember that one? Yeah, that was cool.
So, but yeah.
That was
cool.
I've
got a whole bunch of ideas about just things that you could upcycle from your house, recycle it, and repurpose it for your pedal boards and stuff like that.
Neat.
So, you know,
neat.
Look for those videos coming up soon.
Yeah.
So, but you're talking about the business stuff, man, and that's kind of a lot of things I was focusing on. Is I really wanted to make sure that I'm on track. I try to keep up and with all these things, but licensing and royalties. Even in the old days, and when I say old days, I'm talking about before streaming, before downloads, back when it's just, you know, CD, 8-track, cassette, vinyl kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and royalties were just, and licensing was such a crazy thing because the writer gets a different set of royalties than the artist does, and there's royalties for when it's played, and there's royalties for when it's sold or pressed onto a permanent medium. Well, now you got this whole digital thing. And then we just last fall, the president signed into law the Digital Millennial Act, and that is changing a lot of things. So I definitely did a lot of sessions on that, and you know, long and short of it is that the Americans have been kind of ripping on the American record companies and stuff, have been kind of, and the radio and all that have kind of been ripping off artists as far as yeah. Because the songwriters, every time it spins on the radio, the songwriter gets something. Every time it is sold, the songwriter gets something. And those are you know, when it's spun on the radio, played live, that's a performance royalty. When it is sold on a disc or CD or even digital, that's mechanical royalty. And the artist will usually get a little bit of the sale from whenever it's sold, mechanical royalty. But there was never been performance royalties as far as terrestrial radio in the United States, and you know, we're one of 4 countries which that is not the case. And I think the guy said Iraq and North Korea and maybe China were the other 3. It's like, well, kind of see the company we're in with that.
Well,
so, but you know, I get playing devil's advocate. I get why, because the record companies wanted the radio stations to play their stuff, so they're not going to charge them to play the stuff because the record companies weren't interested in trying to collect performance royalties. They wanted to sell records. And that radio station was free advertising for them. Well, not free, but
they were buying those spots.
They were buying those spots.
They still are. But terrestrial radio is like way down the food chain now.
Right. Well, as we moved into the digital era, a lot of the digital streaming services that were out there were still trying to ride on the whole terrestrial radio, not paying the artist performance royalties model. And of course, you had a lot of artists that pulled back. I mean, when you have someone like Taylor Swift saying, "I'm pulling all my stuff off of Spotify," that creates some waves. So this has kind of caused this whole turn in the Digital Millennial Act, and that's basically Millennium Act, not millennials. But it's caused a turn. It says this is it. Everybody's getting performance royalties, whether you're the songwriter, whether you're the artist, you know, and everyone's going to get mechanical royalties, whether you are the songwriter, whether you're the record label or indie label, whichever you might be. So, and it really lines that out. And the way it was, basically, okay, DSPs, which are, you know, digital phonograph distribution, basically, that's your MP3s, that's your streaming is considered that. It's kind of broken down into 2 different facets, though. It's you've got what is considered interactive and non-interactive. So, what are you looking at? So the interactive is your on-demand streaming. It's when you say I'm on Apple Music, I want to listen to this song, listen to that one. The non-interactive is going to be more of your internet radio, your Pandora kind of model.
Okay.
So the rules have changed with that, and the DMA, DMA has kind of outlined how that's all going to work together. But this also opens up an entirely different process when it comes to collecting royalties. So, the DMA kind of outlines how you're going to license it, and you have these now compulsory licenses. But when coming to collecting royalties, of course, ASCAP and BMI are going to collect for the songwriter as far as performance royalties. Mechanical royalties are negotiated because the record company has to get a license from the songwriter to make those copies, so that's where that licensing comes from. But what about the performance royalties for the artist on the internet? That's where Sound Exchange comes in, and they handle that. So now, really, you got to get registered with your distributor. Who helps you out with some of it, but you got to get registered as a songwriter with ASCAP or BMI or CSAC or whatever initials you can come up with, and then you got to get on Sound Exchange, and then you got to make sure that you're got all your stuff together as a with your distributor, CD Baby, or any of those things, and just chasing the money train on that is just, it's crazy. But
man, I mean, it was like, I had a chance to have a little one-on-one with CD Baby. And I sat him down, and the first thing I said was, "What happened? What has happened here?" Because it used to be like, every 2 or 3 months I'd get a little drip. Now it's like, I'm looking at 50 pages of royalty statements, and I mean, I don't think I've gotten any money from them in 2 years. And it's like, well, if it's, thousandths of a penny, I mean, my last Spotify payment was 18 cents.
18 cents, wow.
And that is like at, 6,000ths of a penny.
Yep.
Each stream.
Yeah.
And so it's just so low. I mean, it's just not even hardly worth considering for little guys like us.
True, true.
And so what we got to do is create the super fan who will buy the music from us, buy the experience from us, buy the merch from us, support us in our crazy ass life and journey, doing this shit.
Chasing this craziness, absolutely. So,
and it's just really cool, like I said, to be around people that have like a mindset of, this is my career. This is not something I do for fun or a hobby on the weekends, just exclusively. This is what I do for a living.
And I've discovered it's all different levels too. Because when I first got here, it's like, am I a little out of my league here? I mean, a lot of these people that are in their full dress costumes and stuff, and they, of course, I'm kind of. Well, I was really actually encouraged to see a lot of people older than me here, so that was cool too.
Yeah.
And but as I got to see these people and listen to the questions they're asking, so there's some that are just starting out. There's some that have been battling this for years. There's others they've come across as old pros. I mean, didn't you just say you ran into the guy who did merch for
Steel Panther?
Steel Panther, yeah.
Yeah, he had a good
Kitty.
a really good presentation and everything. And I mean, just like the people that you meet and their story that they can relate to you in 5 minutes, and you're standing outside in the smoke hole is like worth it. And right there, I mean, just the inspiration. As for his music and songwriting and everything else, man, it comes from the weirdest places. And like, the thing is, I feel like you just got to be kind of like a wide open channel.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to take this stuff in. I met this girl. I mean, she gave me a stick of gum in that one deal.
Oh, that's right.
When we were
yeah.
smushed together. I mean, she was telling that guy next to us that she'd been in a band 30 years ago.
Wow.
They cut a CD of all originals. And I don't know what happened, but they never released it. So they're trying to figure out, well, all right, now our lives are different. We can get back to it. How do we get this CD out there, and how do we get ears on it, all over the world? And it's like, man, it gives a lot of people hope and non-traditional ways of doing this kind of stuff, and all the traditional ways, they're going away. And this is just a big illustration of it. And so if you think, I'm going to wait around and play these shitty bars until somebody pulls up in a limo and signs me to a record deal, it's going to make me a millionaire.
It ended right about the time Teen Spirit came out.
You just don't understand the business at all.
And you don't have to have a record deal. It's you got to really.
You don't want a record deal. That's
true
another
too.
thing
That
I realized.
You do not, because it's not just your normal record deal where you're getting hosed anyway, and you're going to have to release 2 albums just to pay for the first one. But now they have those 360 deals where the label's involved with your merchandise, your branding, any endorsements that you do. It's all this package thing. It's like, granted, yes, maybe they can launch you a lot further, and you may get these billions of dollars, but you can do it yourself, and with some smarts and a lot of tenacity and a lot of work, I think that you can still have a very successful career. Just it won't be the grand scale, but really, come on. How many times have we gone out and bought albums for just one song and then never listened to it again after I got sick of it? You know, that's what the record business breeded for so many years. So if you can get a handful of fans that are going to be with you through thick and thin, then why not? And the technology lets us do that too. It's like you can go out.
So amazing.
You can even right now we're doing this here in our hotel room, live video, simple stuff. You know, Questlove spoke here last night, and he's talking about.
He's got the baddest ass afro you've ever seen.
Yeah, man, he really does.
Pimp City.
Yeah, but he's a brilliant guy, and he's not just a drummer. He's a music producer and a writer and all composer. And I guess he was talking about he was composing something. He said he did half of it on his iPhone.
Yeah.
You know, you get on GarageBand and you can just you lay out the tracks and all that, and then you can take it back and bring it into your Logic Pro or whatever, and you can then decide to overdub drums or whatever instrumentation you want to, or you stick with what it is. I mean, EDM is it these days, and you know, pardon me, as a person that worked years and years to try to be decent on guitar, but really they're just all tools anyway, aren't they? The guitar's a tool to make a tone, and so is EDM. So it still ultimately comes down to what your ear's going to let you do.
Yeah.
So I do have a little respect for people that do that too, but I do the same thing. I'll grab my iPhone and I'll lay out drum tracks and stuff like that with the intention once I have it all done, I'll get a drummer to come in and lay it over there. And so
Technology's
it's really cool.
Amazing.
It is.
It really is. But sometimes, you know, the coolest thing is when you kind of like, all right, this train has taken us a long ways, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the coolest thing is just being yourself and being real.
Yeah.
Reality is cutting edge right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's sad. That's a sad state of affairs that reality is cutting edge. Just being real, just being yourself, just doing something real.
Well, it's sad it's taken this long for it to be that way. I'm actually encouraged by it because, you know, I don't have to spend thousands of dollars and try to come up with songs that would be publicly appealing to throw on a CD and go through all that effort and money. I can now, you know, sit down. If I wrote a song and I like it, I can you know, record it, throw it on YouTube, throw it, you know, send it off to CD Baby, get on Spotify and all that. And people like it. If they don't like it, I'm out the $9 to put the song out there and whatever the copyright fee is. And that's it.
I know.
You know, it's to me that's encouraging because you're going to see, well, at least I think you're going to see more and more honest music. And that kind of brings me to NPR's Bob Pollin. Got to see him today. And he does, for those of you who don't know, he's been on NPR. He's really involved with the All Things Considered and the All Music Considered, All Songs Considered.
Yeah, the Tiny Desk concert contest.
The Tiny Desk thing is his latest project. So he actually conducted that today at the session, and everybody could put their thumb drives in there, and he picked out 4 songs, and every one of those songs was real. It's totally real. And he'd bring the artist up, and the artist would, you know, talk about what their inspiration was when they wrote it. And it was really, and it was all over the board too. You had 2 that were very acoustic. You had one that was kind of a rhythmy, bluesy throwback to the Pixies. And then you had one that was totally EDM techno pop. But it was even about the story with her was that it was, you know, she had taken a couple of sick days and just to work on her music, and was enjoying that so much that she's like, I'm just going to quit my job and go drink LaCroix, is what she said. And she did that. So she wrote the song about it, and she did it, and she had saved up some money, and now she's working that kind of thing. And, you know, she was from, I think she was from England or something. She kept saying, yeah, I went and recorded my music in the cupboard. And Bob had to explain that. Well, in the U.S., a cupboard's like a closet. You know, it's not what you put your coffee and stuff into.
Right.
So you know, it's just really kind of cool. But all 4 of those songs, even the Pixies remake, when they remade that tune, it was very, very earthy, and you could tell that there's a lot of feeling involved with it. It was real to them. So
yeah.
So
man, that's cool. It's great. You know,
yeah.
I just love the way it's going. It's the greatest time to be an indie artist.
Yeah.
You just have to take that step to take control of your destiny and your career, and just not think about all these old ways. You can't think about that anymore. Those were old ways.
Right.
This is a new world that is really just wide open. And if you put as much creativity, what I was thinking about a few times is, if I could put as much creativity into the business part of it and getting my music out there as I do playing the music and producing the music and trying to get it out, if I could put all that creativity into that, then, you know, I could be getting someplace, you know. And so,
well, that's the problem. Is like you're splitting that one speaker was saying is, after he decided to go independent, he's like spending 80% of his time trying to promote the stuff when really he wants to be spending more. He only has 20% left to do the creativity.
Right.
Of it, so.
But it's just like one hand's got to wash the other.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, if I can get some placements, if I can get some stuff happening, then it allows me to create music at a pace I want to and the kind of thing I want to, rather than have to cow down to some executive in a suit in New York who tells me he thinks he knows me better than me, and that's just not true anymore. You don't have to do that.
No, but the thing is, they got this entire staff though that's doing all this stuff. They're working the social media and working. You have to do that yourself, or hopefully find some 15-year-old cyber or 15-year-old social media giant that loves your music, and do some swapping, do some exchange. Hey, you run my Twitter account, you run these accounts and stuff like that, and I'll give you free lessons for the next X number. As long as you're doing that, we'll do this.
Right,
bartering. And, bartering is there's nothing wrong with that.
It's kind of like cool because man, it's like some of this shit's like really cutting edge, and other stuff are like kind of going back to the old ways of doing stuff, like old ways, bartering.
Which I mean, to me, bartering is a way of empowering yourself. You're not just accepting what somebody is their price,
and you're not a slave to the economy and the currency and everything else. That's cool.
You go overseas, and a lot of times, when I was in China one time, and I was going to buy something, and the shopkeep goes, "It's this amount." I'm like, "Okay," I'll pull out my wallet. And our host grabbed me. She goes, "No, walk away." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "You can get it for half that price." It's like, okay, I didn't know that. So bartering is. So if any guys out there want some free guitar lessons and are really good at doing social media and marketing, things like that, check me out. We'll figure something out. So I did find some other really cool stuff about PR part of it, which all plays into what we need to do. And this one lady, I'm going to do a whole series on this later too about what she was talking about. She was they bring these speakers in, and they're actually in the business. They have entertainment PR companies and things like that. And you got to have all the different facets. You got to be very active in Twitter. You got to be very active. Maybe not Twitter, but Instagram or Twitter. Mm-hmm. But some of the things that you have to do that we tend to forget about, it's like you got to have the website. And within your website, you got to have really good photos. And it's not just iPhone photos. You got to have the professional photos. And please don't do them against a brick wall. Every rock and roller has always had a picture against a brick wall.
Or on a train track.
Train tracks or brick walls, yeah. I was thinking about that too. I think that's something we ought to do, is just come up with every cliche thing and then get one of my photographers.
What's that website that had all those hilarious promo photos on it?
I don't know. But we ought to do that.
I mean, it's just
actually go out
there's some treasures on there, I'm telling you what.
Shoot a video of us actually shooting every one of those cliche things. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, it would. It would.
But it's that. It's not in the electronic press kits, and it's the one sheet flyers, which are kind of morphed into electronic press kits, and and then just the difference between a press release and an event release. It's like, there is a difference. A press release is kind of, hey, this is what's going on. An event release is like, urgent, danger, Will Robertson, this is what's going down this week, and you need to get out here and check it out. So.
Yeah, man, we live in the information age, and it's like, basically, you got to create some information.
Yeah,
and you got to do it in a like consistent manner and in a constant manner. The YouTube people, they told me straight up, they're like, look, the way you get more views is this. Because I asked him, I said, listen, how come this dad with a day job in New Jersey that sits on his couch in his underwear playing along with Thin Lizzy records gets 4,000 plays overnight, and my whole damn channel hadn't gotten 4,000 plays in 10 years? Explain to me what I'm doing wrong here. Well, what they said was consistency. What they said was, make an attractive looking, thumbnail for it, a custom thumbnail.
Yeah, I heard that a lot. The thumbnails are paramount.
Just little tips like that you just don't realize, and it's like, well, that's how they're getting 4,000 plays in 2 days, and I'm getting 2 in 2 years. And it's just.
You can help us out by going to bandadvice.tv and subscribing, please.
That's right.
Get shameless self-promotion.
Get on there and subscribe to that. You can check out all our stuff. But
yeah,
we're just coming in hot on what we learned here in the last couple of days.
Excited.
So we want to share it with you.
Yep. Yeah, and now we got another 8-hour drive home tomorrow. We may just have to do one of these videos.
I'm not going home. You're just going to leave me here. I'm not going back to
Oklahoma.
Cool. I'm just going to stay here.
No problem. You stay with Hunt, right?
Yeah, right.
You guys have bonded, so his old roommate from college. We've been been spent a lot of time with him this weekend, so it's pretty cool.
Man, Hunt's a great dude. But I've known him since I was in high school. He's lived down here for probably, I don't know, 15 years or so, him and his brother. And a lot of times, you know, when I've come down here and played in the past, he'll play bass for me and get us a drummer or whatever. It's a good time. So we've known each other a long ass time. It's good. It's always good to see him. He's
a little
cool.
dangerous though. Thursday night when he got here, and we're still jamming at 4. I'm sorry, it was like 1:30 in the morning. I was super surprised nobody came knocking on the door, but I guess the hotel kind of figured, okay, these people are here for the musician thing, so we're going to put them in the other wing.
Right.
No one complained, but it was.
they were a little.
I listened to that video that we shot live. It's like, ooh, some points my harmonies are awesome. Other parts I should not have tried.
Dude, it's reality. Reality sells. Reality is cool now.
It's fun though, and that's what matters.
Right.
If music's not fun, then why are we doing it?
I'm not making this for every person that's going to be a critic. I'm making this for people that like reality and that like what I'm doing and like what you're doing and like what we're doing together. That's the bottom line of it. We're not doing this for any other reason other than that.
Yep.
I can't make everybody like me. I don't care about that. What I care about is people that do like me.
All right.
Really
like me.
making stuff that they dig, you know, and that I mean there's a couple of people that my lyrics have really touched a nerve, and man, they tell me about it all the time. It's like, man, this is what an artist works for, you know.
The good stuff,
this is what an artist works for, to understand that, like, wow, my lyrics that, you know, I made up just as a reaction to what was going on around me, and all these years later, still like serving somebody really well, you know. And that's one of the coolest things ever.
It sure is, because you're touching somebody. And there was a couple of sessions with Santa in too. It's like people aren't going to remember the content. They're not going to necessarily even remember the song you played or whatever, but they're going to remember how it makes you feel.
That's right.
And that's the key. And it's really reinvigorated me. It's like, I'm not going to try to sit here and write songs to make people like them.
No.
I'm going to just write songs that I like and things that are important to me and that are real.
Be natural, and those things will strike a nerve in the right people, and they will react to it.
Right.
That's the most organic thing in the world. Dude, I'm having a heck of a time.
We're going to have to put it on the schedule for next year. So.
Yeah, that's going to be good. That'll be good times.
It'd be fun if we got it back. I guess we're going to be back here in Nashville, or back here in Austin next year, but hopefully back to Nashville too. So I'd like to get back to Nashville. So especially in August. Nashville, I think in August is going to be a little better than in Austin, but still had a good time. I love this city. I love seeing some of my old friends again, Justin and Hunt. So that's
heck yeah, man. That's great fun.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that's about it for now.
Yeah.
We may get bored somewhere around Waco tomorrow and start broadcasting from the car. I don't know how well they'll be able to hear us, but whatever. Technology's rocks. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Be good at it.